Sam Steele and Maverick Bourque. One's a proven depth piece with speed and grit. The other, a rising star ready to jump into the spotlight. So what role will they play and why I believe they're two of the most important pieces for the Dallas Stars next season.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. On today's episode of Locked On Stars, I'm going to tell you why Sam Steele and Maverick Bourque are two of the most important pieces in order for the Dallas Stars to have success next season. Also, how the Stars are going to replace some of that scoring depth they lost over the offseason, and how I like the Stars' variety up front, especially in the bottom six with the additions of Radek, Faksa, and Nathan Bastian. We're going to dive into all of that on this Wednesday edition. So please hit the subscribe button, drop a comment as well. And we're going to talk about Sam Steele and Maverick Bourque here a bit more in depth. Sam Steele is one of my favorite players. A couple of years ago when I began this podcast, I talked so highly of Sam Steele, mentioned that he was going to become a fan favorite very quickly. And he certainly has, and he's earned himself a contract with Dallas for the last few seasons. He just does everything you want in a depth forward. He's relentless. He flies around, high motor. He's an energy guy. He can provide some pop offensively. He's great on the penalty kill. He assumed really a lead penalty killing role for the Stars last season. He played the most amount of minutes on that side of special teams. And now he has this opportunity to be elevated into the lineup. And why I believe Steele and Bourque are so important to the Stars' success next season is because with the elevation of their play, it will allow the Stars to mix things up, especially in the top six. It will give them sort of a safety net for moving Wyatt Johnston up into the top six, whether that's with Rantanen and Rope, whether that's with Rantanen and Jason Robertson. By Steele and Bourque stepping up, now it gives Dallas some extra depth, especially down the middle. Teams want to be strong down the middle. And I want Johnston to play center as much as anyone, but I foresee this being a really important season for Dallas in terms of creating offense, or at least finding scoring early, especially to open up the year in a tough stretch. They're going to have to load up some of the top six, in my opinion. And you're going to want to move Wyatt Johnston around, and maybe centers up top. Maybe that allows Dallas to move Rope to the wing, right? And this sort of is going to be reiterated later in today's episode about the variety, the Stars. By Steele and Bourque, their ability to potentially play center and provide some offense, it will give Dallas so much more variety and Gulutzan an opportunity to really mix up his lines. And Steele, let's face it, I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to give you 20 goals, right? With the departure of Marchment and Dodonov, that's 42 goals between those two guys, those two left wingers. Then you have Stankoven, of course, he's gone. But you also have to factor in the Stars, hopefully, will get a full season of Tyler Seguin. He was a point per game. Had, 9-10 goals in his first 20 games last season. If he stays relatively healthy, you have to factor in some of the decline, but you have to think Seguin is good for, 18 to 30 goals, somewhere in that range. If you're being conservative, 15 to 25. Mikko Rantanen, right? You get a full 82 games of Mikko Rantanen. You're going to make up some there. He's a guy that scored 50 goals before. I don't know if he'll reach those heights in Dallas. He very well could be with the potential line mates around him, just the potential pieces. It's not Nathan McKinnon, but he'll still be a focal point on the Stars power play, you would assume, and he's going to get opportunities there. So the Stars can make up some of that scoring with others, and we'll talk about that a bit more as well. But Steele in particular, a guy that had 6 goals, 19 assists in 79 games last season. But he has a chance to play alongside players, well, let's just face it, with higher upside. I really like Steele, possibly Bourque, and even Jamie Benn if you move Wyatt Johnston up. So you get Steele, Bourque, Benn. I think Bourque is going to be able to score at the NHL level. I think Bourque is a guy that's going to be a 20-plus goal guy per season if he figures it out. It feels like he's ready to jump into the spotlight. That's also why I think Bourque is special and very important, because that's just another safety net the Stars have down the middle. If Bourque truly realizes what we all believe his potential is, and that's, a top of the lineup, maybe fringe top 6 guy. If anything, a 2C would be nice if he can realize that part of his game. I think he can really score. He showed flashes of it last year. He's not afraid to go to some of those dirty areas. He gets to the crease. He sniffs around. He can play physical. I think Gulutzan's really going to like his game, and he had a full year to get comfortable and acclimated to the NHL level. Now it's time for him to pop. And him popping is another opportunity for Dallas to really create some variety up and down their lineup. They're not going to have as many lines that are just going to be about scoring, right? Like skating lines potentially. So you could put Bourque down the middle, and you could play him alongside Steele and Jamie Benn if you wanted. Maybe Bourque is a guy you could even move up to your second line on the wing instead of Seguin. Seguin another year older. Seguin drops down. You could have Bourque along with Duchesne and Benn. I think that could be really intriguing just because Duchesne's sort of a playmaker. Bourque's a guy going to be comfortable, hopefully more comfortable with the puck on his stick. He's a bit of a shooting. I think he can score. I really do. I think he's going to be a guy that can score 20-plus goals. And maybe it kicks in this year. I just believe these two guys are so important because for what we see the Stars of losing some depth. And look, on paper, they absolutely did. They don't have it's good depth. It's not great. Over the last 2 years, they've had great depth. But Steele and Bourque, them elevating in the lineup, elevating their play, then I think it turns Stars into good, close to great depth, because they're two guys that maybe you're not expecting a ton from, and you could get some really good numbers. Even like 11 goals in 73 games for Bourque. It's not an awful rookie year. Just imagine he gets to play up some. Last year, for the most part, he was sheltered down the fourth line. He had a lot of those minutes. So he'll play with, more guys with potential to score, right? A higher skill set, sort of where I'm going there. Sort of lost the train of thought. I've talked a lot here over the last week or so, but I just think those numbers can go up. And Steele and Bourque, I think, are the difference from Dallas being a team that may lose some or maybe regress in the offseason or regress this year. They can be the difference between that and them staying at their peak, which is a team to beat in the Western Conference. Steele and Bourque are those guys because of what they can bring. Steele on the special teams conversation. Also, he provides Dallas with some speed. He's still young. I mean, he's only 26. I think it's hard to forget. I feel like he's almost in his 30s. He's been around, plays such a simple style game. And Bourque is a guy that has top 6 potential. And if he realizes that, then the Stars go from a team where you're thinking, okay, they may regress. Gulutzan coming in, taking over for DeBoer, or they're a team that's really darn good again and like the team to beat in the Central Division, and they're up with the Colorados of their world who have a ton of depth, and they re-racked and regrouped during the offseason as well. So those are two guys I'm looking at as pieces for Dallas that can be the difference between them making a really, really strong run and giving Dallas opportunities, number one, as a safety net, as centers, to start really playing around and toying with that top 6. When you talk about Robo, Hintz, Rantanen, Duchesne, Seguin, Ben. Ideally, Johnston, you could throw that in that conversation. Ideally, you want Bourque to establish himself as a guy that is on Puckpedia. It shows your second line, Duchesne, Ben, Seguin. Ideally, you want Bourque being that second line right wing or your third line center. That's where the Stars are going to want to see Maverick Bourque. That is ideal. Sort of how I said last year with Liam Bichsel. The ideal Liam Bichsel experiment was he came up in like January, December, and he played and he looked good and he stuck. That's Bourque. Ideally for Dallas, he's your second line winger, possibly third line center if he's up for that challenge, and you can move Wyatt Johnston up and really get creative and have an offense that can really, really haunt teams and give teams a lot of trouble, I think, challenges, especially when you add the way they're going to forecheck. That's why I think Bourque and Steele could really thrive this year too. That's another reason with Gulutzan and how Dallas is going to change a little bit on how they go about their business. Not as much maybe run or gun, relying on some of the counterattacks. I think that's where Bourque can really be good. I think we saw that in stretches. He's not afraid to get his nose in to battles and create offense sort of the hard way. So those are my two pieces for Dallas. It'd be really important to Dallas's success this next season as potential to replace some of that depth scoring and just give Dallas some more safety net, especially down the middle. Now, others that can help out with scoring, and I touched on it just for a brief moment. Let's really dive into that, how Dallas may not be struggling to find as much offense as we think at first glance coming into this season. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch Money is great for those of you that maybe are spending more money on takeout than you think, maybe spending more money when you go out than you think. You can find areas where you can maybe pull back and you can save up. You can do this with your partner as well. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL. So how can Dallas replace the scoring that they lost with Marchment, Dodonov? You can even add Stankoven into that conversation. Granlund, who came in, had 7 goals during his short stint with the Stars. Well, I sort of mapped this out. Steele is a guy, look, I don't believe Steele is someone that can give you 20 goals. I think he's more in the world of like a career high for him was in Minnesota, 4 years ago, and he put up 10 goals. I think a great year for Steele is a dozen goals. I'd say a dozen goals. Like that's an amazing year for Steele. But for the most part, he may be living somewhere, you hope, where he's going to be somewhere 7 to 12. That's sort of the range I would stick for him. Bourque, again, for as much as he struggled at times last year and was still trying to work out some kinks, 11 goals, not atrocious. I think there's a big jump where he could sniff around 20. Maybe he gets around 25 with the elevation of lineup, playing alongside some better players, playing in those positions where we'll have more opportunities. Another is what I stated earlier, Seguin and Rantanen. A fully healthy Seguin, I think, still has some juice left. He's a guy give you 15 to 25. That's somewhere he can make up, 42 goals between Marchment and Dodonov. That's hard to replace, but you have options, especially with Rantanen as well now, a guy that can really puts the puck in the back of the net. Robo, 35 goals. like 30 still feels like almost like a floor for him. Especially he's coming in feeling healthy. There's opportunities for him. So he could go up. Rope Hintz, that's a guy should be able to chip in a bit more. He had 3 straight seasons of 30 goals. He only had 28. But the main guys I'm looking for Dallas, if we had to pin it on a couple guys to shoulder the load for kind of replacing some of the offensive stars lost. Maverick Bourque. People forget Jamie even had 16 goals too last year. I'm expecting some decline there. So that's why I'm looking at Maverick Bourque. I'm looking at Ranson and Seguin. Those are my 3 guys, 3 players for Dallas that can sort of shoulder some of the offensive load or step up and give Dallas what they need to overcome what they lost a bit in the offseason. And I think it's fair to say, Marchment, for as much as I loved him as a player, sometimes he was a detriment to Dallas with all the penalties he took. Dodonov, not like he had a big power play presence, although he had 5 power play goals. Kind of hard to believe. He had 5 times as many as Jamie Benn, which again sort of mind-boggling to some degree, just because I feel like Ben should be sort of a power play specialist at this point. So those are the 3 guys I think can give Dallas a lot of juice up front. You get 18 goals from Bourque. Tyler Seguin had 9 goals in 20 games. So, let's give Seguin 18 goals. That's about 40 right there between the 2. Rantanen, you think he can add, 25 to 35? Probably. That's probably pretty low. Let's say 30 to 40. And you make that up right there. And you give Wyatt Johnston an opportunity to play alongside this. Like, I think this offense could actually be pretty lethal. Maybe more than even under DeBoer. I honestly don't think that's that crazy. Stars offense was obviously great. They were top 5 in goals scored every season under DeBoer. If I'm not mistaken, if you're just looking at total goals, I can, of course, fact check myself in that. But last year, they were 3rd for goals for, 3rd for goals for. They were 7th. Okay, first year under DeBoer, they were 7th. So they were top 10. Why not? Dallas can be a team that should be within that same sort of range. You look at the team that finished 7th. Tyler Landry, had 9 goals that season. Radek Faksa had 11. Like, you're looking at some guys that I think you look at this roster. Like, I would take Bourque against Faksa or Delandry at this point. Seguin's a guy that can still chip in if he's healthy, but you have to take that into consideration. Joe had a big year that year too with 28 goals. Like this offense is not, I think, going to struggle as much as maybe I've even thought or others may say, because on paper, yeah, the depth isn't there. I'm not going to question that. Maybe the depth is not as strong, but the scoring ability is still there mixed in. And you got like Steele coming into his prime, only 26. Wyatt Johnston's 21. Bourque, right? He's 22, right? 23. Like these are guys that are ready. And the Stars have to have them produce. Like this era is being transferred over. We kind of realized that with Ben and Seguin. Like it's time for these guys to step up and shoulder some of the offensive load. And I think Dallas is actually shooting pretty good in combination with talent and what Gulutzan can potentially do with the forecheck, with the physicality. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about this Stars forward group. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've said that a lot, and I'm not going to be Debbie Downer and unless they go 3-8 to start the season, then we may sound the alarms. But for now, I look forward to a guy like Bourque in Steele. Their opportunities right there for the taking, and they could have big seasons, like career years. Weird to say with Bourque, it was only his rookie year last year, but I think he's ready to pop as well. And Dallas is going to be in really good hands and they're going to be rocking and rolling, I think, offensively. And I think by the middle of the year, sort of my prediction, we're not going to be like, oh man, we wish we had Marchment and Dodonov. Sort of what I'm saying. I think we're going to sit here and be like, yeah, the offense is good. And that's kind of where they've been over the last few years. We're going to have more questions about the back end, which seems to be a theme over the last couple of years. But we talked about some of the variety. And Stars are going to get that. They've changed up their philosophy, it seems like. And they showed that in some of their acquisitions in the offseason. So let's talk about some of that and where I see the Dallas Stars up front stylistically and just the variety of really just different archetypes they have. This goes back to something I hammered home a lot last year, and we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel is so much fun. It makes the game even more exciting, especially on Sundays when you're sitting on the couch, you're watching the NFL slate. FanDuel, getting on the action. Best part is you can jump even live into the action, watch it as it unfolds. You can drop some player props, same game parlays, ton of different variety for you to have a lot of fun. And it's not just football, right? It's baseball. We got hockey coming up. It's every sport you could offer, all you could want with FanDuel. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. You'll get $300 in bonus bets. A lot of you heard me say this heading into the trade deadline last year in terms of where I thought Dallas could maybe add some pieces up front, right? Different archetypes. And because I talked about a lot about Sam Steele, Bourque sort of in that situation, Stankoven. Like all those guys were sort of undersized, like Blackwell, right? Throw Blackwell in there. Oscar Beck, just guys that are high motor, high energy. They skate well, pretty reliable defensively, right? All this, but they're all kind of undersized, and that's their strength, sort of their skating. But they don't provide maybe a ton of pop, and they're not overly physical, and that's where I give Dallas some credit for this upcoming season, because they have made an obvious change in how they want to go about their business. And I said this with Bastian. Yes, it's not sexy at all. It's a late pick in August. I think I said it's a signing in August. That's sort of how it felt. But I'll give Dallas credit, and I'll give them golf claps, because I was harping on them to add some of that. Some guys maybe with some bigger size that are just more physical. And they went out and did that with Bastian. Faksa, I still don't really get that pick or get that signing. You have like 3 Foxes at home. It's how I see it. But look, he's reliable. He's a fourth-line guy. He's familiar. I understood why they did it. Pay-wise, not a huge fan, but Fox is Faksa. And at the end of the day, you know what you're going to get with him. And sometimes that's all you want in that fourth-line guy, just somebody you know. So that's why I like where Dallas is. We're a variety. And Bourque's a guy that I think it's different from a Steele or even Stankoven. Not as fast as Stankoven, not that type of motor, more of a cerebral player. And again, I think he's going to score. Where that he's going to be a little bit different from a guy like Steele, because he's going to have that potential to be 20, 25 goals per season and play pretty reliable two-way games. So I do like where Dallas is coming from. It's not just 4 lines. Like, we're going to roll them all, and they're all going to be fast. We're all going to be looking for them to score. That's not what we're going to look with the fourth line. We're going to look for Faksa, Blackwell, Bastian, Beck, whatever that combination is, to just spend a minute, 45 seconds to a minute in the offensive zone away from their own net. They may score. If they do, that's cherry on top. If they don't, you made the other team defend, right? It's more of a checking line. You're going to be bruising bodies. You're going to try to wear down the opposing defense. Dallas is going to have that line that can do that now with some heavier bodies. Bastian, of course, he would have led the Stars in hitting last year, or maybe would have been second behind Bischel. That's what Dallas is going to look for that fourth line. Whatever combination it is, wear down the opponents, be relentless, and that will give the Stars then their top guys to play against tired bodies, to play against weary defenders, and give them opportunities to score. You're going to have, I think you have potential. You're going to have sort of a skating speed line, and that could be your Steele, Johnston, Bourque if you keep it there. It could be Bourque, Steele. You could even throw Blackwell onto that line potentially, and then you have your scoring line, right? You got your Hintz, Rant, and Robo, whatever combination with you there, and then you have a line that I think is going to be dangerous with some vets, right? Duchesne, Seguin could play together. Maybe put a young gun on there. Like you got some guys that can bring intimidation. They bring experience. I think there's still some good days ahead of Matt Duchesne. I don't think he's going to reach the heights of a guy having 82 points next year. Honestly, I don't think that would be good for Dallas if Matt Duchesne is putting up point per game. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but you don't want him to be the guy, right? The Stars have too many others they need before Duchesne to start being the guy, especially when you factor in, let's face it, Duchesne's just inept ability to score in the playoffs. I think it's fair to say throughout his career, it's just not his game. So I do give Dallas credit because I think they made a lot of additions in the offseason, even with some subtractions, like a Dodonov. I think that was a good move. Yes, he added 20 goals, but it's a guy that he was just, look, DeBoer trusted him, and you're going to get that type of relationship with every coach. DeBoer trusted him. He's around, but I don't think he was really pushing the Stars over the hump. He scored a big time goal, to be fair to him, against Colorado in that series, but like he's not going to be a different, I don't think he's going to be a large, an impact guy for Dallas. He wasn't pushing them closer to winning the Stanley Cup. Like Bourque should be. Bourque is going to need to be, because I just think this is like a transition year for Dallas, and it could go really bad or really good. And they may change their identity a bit, but I do like how there's going to be maybe just sort of what we saw 5 years ago with the FCC line. Just like if you can force the other team to defend for 45 seconds to a minute, that's great. And you're not going to give up anything either. It's sort of zero sum, right? You're not going to give you a ton, but they're not going to give up any. Allow your big boys to do that up front. And I like sort of the grit you're going to get. I think Blackwell's going to get an elevated opportunity to play some more minutes. Bastian's going to come in. He's going to throw his weight around. And Dallas, I think, and I think Dallas, with all that, will be a bit tougher to play against. I think Gulutzan sort of hinted at that throughout some interviews. Like they just need to be a bit tougher to play against. And I think with this makeup they have, I think they will be just harder to play against. And I think that's a good thing for the Stars. So, that's sort of a breakdown of the Dallas Stars forward group, made lacking some of the sexiness of years past, but potentially to be even better than they were under DeBoer, especially when you go out and add a Rantanen. I wasn't really even thinking about that type of archetype when we were talking about deadlines and adding some guys. I was thinking like Joel Armia, guy from as a penalty killer, heavy, checking guy from Montreal. But those archetypes are nice too. Big power forward that can put up 100 plus points a season. Those will be nice as well, and welcome additions to the Dallas Stars. Let me know how you feel about the Stars forward group. Are you as bullish as potentially I am? I think every season at this time, I can talk myself to anything with the Dallas Stars, and then December is a different question. They're like first place, and I'm still bitching about how their blue line is lacking depth and how they just look lost sometimes. But we'll save the rants in that for later in the season. It's time to be opportunistic, time to be optimistic about what's about to transpire in the 25-26 season. Enough rambling for me. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for the love and support. Hit the notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So long, Stars fans.